Welcome to Concrete Block, your premier source for in-depth analysis and thought-provoking discussions on the day's most pressing issues. I'm your host, Walter, and we're glad you're joining us today. We're starting off with a story that highlights the importance of independent journalism and access to information, especially in times of crisis. The recent earthquake in Myanmar has left thousands dead and many more affected, and in the midst of this tragedy, the country is also facing a severe shortage of trustworthy news sources. The Voice of America, or VOA, which has been a prominent global broadcaster, was forced to cease its operations in Myanmar after the Trump administration cut off its funding. This move has left a significant gap in the country's media landscape, particularly given the already restricted press freedom in Myanmar. However, the BBC has stepped in to fill this void by launching a new satellite news channel in Myanmar, which will provide independent news and information to the people affected by the earthquake. This initiative is a testament to the BBC's commitment to serving audiences in need and providing critical information during times of crisis. It's worth noting that the BBC's decision to launch this new service comes at a time when its own world service is facing significant financial pressures. The corporation has been absorbing the costs of the World Service since 2014, and there are ongoing negotiations with the government about taking back these costs as part of the renewal of the BBC Charter. The situation in Myanmar is complex, and the challenges faced by journalists and media organizations are substantial. The country ranks 171st out of 180 countries in the Press Freedom Index by Reporters Without Borders, and many journalists, including VOA contributor Sithu Aung Mayant, are facing severe penalties for their work. As we continue to follow this story, it's essential to consider the broader implications of restricted access to information and the role that independent journalism plays in holding those in power accountable. We'll be exploring these themes in more depth throughout the show. For now, let's take a closer look at the impact of the BBC's new satellite channel on the people of Myanmar and the potential consequences of the Trump administration's decision to cut funding for VOA. We'll also examine the challenges faced by journalists in the region and the importance of preserving press freedom. We'll be right back with more of today's top news on Concrete Block. Welcome back to Concrete Block. We're glad you're still with us as we dive into the latest developments in international news. Today, we're focusing on the ongoing negotiations between the United States and Iran regarding Tehran's nuclear program. As reported by The Guardian, Iran has rejected a demand from the U.S. that it rely exclusively on imported uranium for its civil nuclear program. Instead, Iranian officials are insisting that they must be allowed to have their own uranium enrichment capacity. This stance is rooted in their rights as a signatory to the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, which includes the ability to produce fuel for their nuclear power plants. The U.S. Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, has proposed a compromise that would allow Iran to have a civil nuclear program, but only if they import enriched material. However, Iran's chief negotiator, Abbas Araqchi, has made it clear that this is not acceptable, citing the need for equal respect and treatment within the global non-proliferation framework. Experts weigh in on the challenges of reaching an agreement, with former CIA Director William Burns noting that he doesn't think the Iranian regime will agree to zero domestic enrichment. Meanwhile, researchers like Andrea Stricker from the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies express concerns about the risks of negotiating a weak deal that could leave Iran's breakout capability intact. It's a complex and delicate situation with both sides digging in their heels. As the negotiations continue, it remains to be seen whether a mutually acceptable agreement can be reached. The stakes are high, with potential implications for global security and the future of nuclear non-proliferation. We'll be keeping a close eye on these developments and bringing you updates as more information becomes available. For now, it's clear that the path forward will require careful diplomacy and a willingness to compromise from all parties involved. Stay tuned for our final story of the day, right here on Concrete Block. Welcome back to Concrete Block. I am your host, Walter. As we wrap up today's show, we're taking a closer look at the issues that are shaping the lives of people in Australia's outer suburbs. A recent report has highlighted the growing concerns of residents in areas like Hawke and Warrewa, where access to basic services such as healthcare, education, and public safety are becoming major talking points. Now, it's no secret that these regions have been facing significant challenges, from housing affordability to mental health support. But what's striking is the way these issues are intersecting and exacerbating one another. For example, the lack of bulk billing options in some areas is leading to longer wait times for GP appointments, which in turn is affecting people's ability to manage chronic conditions. We've also seen a surge in concerns about public safety, with crime rates on the rise in some parts of Melbourne's west. While this is largely a state issue, it's clear that the federal government is being held accountable by voters who are looking for solutions. Labor strategists are keenly aware of these concerns and are working to address them through initiatives such as urgent care clinics and increased funding for mental health services. However, the coalition is also seizing on these issues, arguing that the current government is not doing enough to support communities in need. It's a complex and nuanced debate, and one that requires a thoughtful and multifaceted approach. As we head into the final stretch of the election campaign, it's clear that the outer suburbs will play a critical role in shaping the outcome. So what can we take away from this story? Firstly, it's clear that the issues facing Australia's outer suburbs are deeply interconnected and require a comprehensive response. Secondly, voters in these areas are looking for tangible solutions and are holding their representatives to account. And finally, the outcome of the election will likely depend on which party can best articulate a vision for addressing these challenges and supporting the communities that need it most. That's all for today's Concrete Block. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, stay informed.